All right, it's 7 o'clock. January 16, 2024. This is the time and place for the Tioga Commission meeting. And if we can call the meeting to order, attempt questions. I. One nation, under God, indivisible. Thank you. All right, you can see our board a little light tonight. Go through this stuff. Can we get a motion for the minutes for December 18th, 2023 commission? I'll move to approve. Second, right with the motion again to approve the motion comments for the board will vote. Yes. Yes. All right, so moves. Sorry, I'm waiting for a third person by that. Okay. Go with commissioner reports.
We're just trying to maintain and a few meters froze, but yeah, some sabbatical, so
So far,
floating around. Yeah,
well, that's good with the weird weather we've had for the last week.
yeah, it could be a lot worse, I'm sure.
All right, Larry. I have nothing at this time. All right, sounds good. Modifications or approval of the agenda. I know.
Yeah, I got a couple things here. One is either for the recycle center, dog home, and then I have a vehicle for the police department, and the repair for one of the city trucks.
Can we put the repairs for the city vehicle together, or do they have to be separate? Okay. So number 11 will be the recycle center. Number 12 will be the front vehicle. Anything else that we need to?
Nothing else from me.
All right. Do you have anything, Larry? No. All right. Can I get a motion, please?
And make a motion to approve the change of the agenda.
Okay. Second. All right. With the motion, a second to approve the modification. No questions, comments, from the board with the vote?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So let's go straight into old business. First.
Okay, good to see everyone again. I know that it's a rather lengthy agenda, so I will try to be brief. Couple of points of interest. First of all, as we all know, it's been a long-term project to, I guess, clarify and revise and ensure that the ordinances of Tioga are in good and working shape. Over the course of several years, we've done work on everything from planning and zoning ordinances, which have been duly adopted and incorporated, to the snow removal route, to various changes to some of the personnel scales, grading, that type of thing. The problem was organizationally, those things got scattered and they got tacked on to the end of the ordinances, and it made it very hard for the public even to be able to access them. So one of Abby and I's big projects for 2023 was to try to complete the ordinance book, supplement it, amend it. I would certainly like to say that the staff in the auditor's office did a fabulous job. There were many typos. Those ordinances were enacted in 1999 before word processors were terribly efficient. And so some of the typos existed since 1999, and they spent considerable time going through to make those things, you know, in good, readable, accessible shape. Long term, I think that'll help the community quite a lot. So you have about 268 pages of ordinances in your packet. There is nothing that's hugely substantive. Those are the culmination and organization of all of the ordinances, so they're in one spot. There's also a resolution. We'll go through that when you need it. That would adopt those revised, corrected, and clarified ordinances. I appreciate Josh reminding me I'll have a contract for you all, at the next meeting, DP and, Williams County, we do, contract with them for jail. I apologize to Josh. He got it to me timely. I thought I'd gotten back with him, but I don't think I have. So we should have that up on board at the next meeting. We have a couple of other items on the agenda that I might be able to participate or need to participate, but I'm not going to go into it now. We'll just see how the meeting goes. And I think that's all I have to share this evening.
Perfect, thank you. You can report that.
Good evening here. Happy New Year. It's the first time seeing you guys since we turned 2024. So few items for this evening. Northeast Tioga reconstruction phase 2. Schedule for completion of the work. Did have a conversation with the contractor. They're anticipating around 3 weeks worth of work from spring to complete the punch list items. Planning to start May 1st, of course, weather permitting. So hopefully by the beginning of June, things will be wrapped up out there and total complete. So any questions related to that?
We put some on it.
Okay, contractor's application for payment number 10. That is part of what I just handed out. There was a previous version that was still edited, that was included in the packets provided earlier. But this is the updated version. Recommended payment of $537,579.28. That does not include, or that includes the value of liquidated damages that was withheld on the previous pay application. So that would be reduced down to whatever level of liquidated damages city decided on. From the previous pay application, I guess that for liquidated damages, the city decided on June 1st through October 30th, which was 152 days. There was still time for them to reach substantial completion, which was achieved on November 17th. So there would be potential for 18 additional days to be included in that. City were to decide what their team wants to go with that. In addition, the included in the handout there is the invoice the city received from Maine Electric for repairs to the traffic signal at Signal Road and Highway 40 from trucks hit that signal. So city had Maine Electric come up to repair that. Value of that was $15,659.42. Also for consideration. So,
days hasn't been subtracted from that total.
not from this 537. That's not going to come off.
If you could give us that number again, Josh? Sorry, I have the first draft of the pay order. What was the total of the pay app currently, the revised pay app?
$537,579.28.
And that's without deduction of LD.
Correct.
And or the damage to the signal like that.
The contractor is aware of the $15,659.43 bill. For,
I have not.
but it was their equipment that caused that.
Yeah, they're aware.
They're aware that the city hired a contractor to repair it.
They're just not aware of the cost.
Yeah.
They have their own. Vision. They could.
They were afforded an opportunity to correct it, but they couldn't get here to correct it.
Right.
Okay.
You know, again, Dave, you know, I'm okay with that 150. I think they've already kind of used this and being punitive a little bit on this, but you know, basically that was the completion. You know, when they worked in 17 days, it was a lot of just cleaning up and stuff. Main job was done, so I'd be okay with just sticking with it. 150.
And that was at $1,600 a day.
Correct. That totals on that $243,200.
You want to subtract the bill for.
Yeah.
$278,719 and 5 cents. Or wait, that would be the total. So the total reduced to
So you have for the reduction, $258,859.43.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so. You have that motion, Tim, or? So,
Yeah, I move, we move to pay this, but you know, subtract.
so,
I see everybody was working on it, so I didn't, so I, whatever the total would come up to be.
The total payment then would be $270,719.85.
And so your motion then, Tim, is to reduce the payment requested by 152 days of LDs at $1,600 a day and to reduce it by the cost of the light.
Yes.
Okay.
So
as it is working on it.
I was hearing him, I didn't.
so it'd be 152 days at 1,600 a day. Plus the 15,659.
Okay,
So you're moving to approve the total of $278,719.85. Yes,
Yes.
and you're moving to reduce the application by $258,859.43.
I'm gonna trust your math.
Okay, well, I'm trusting Josh's now, so hopefully we're in good shape.
there's a motion on the floor to pay the 278,719.85. Second. All right, with a motion and second, a question, comments, from the board, will we vote?
Yes.
Yes. All right, someone?
Okay, next item I have this evening then is the trail project up at the dam. Last meeting, we presented a few options on the water crossings, different box culvert options or bridge options. If there's any further comments on that, we talked to them a little bit earlier, we're talking, we probably set up another meeting. The group we met with a couple times here to narrow things down on that. If there's any thoughts, from the commission on those crossing options.
We'll have to look at the numbers, but it looked like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah. Okay, the next item I have is the Third Street and North Hampton Street reconstruction project. Scheduled for completion of that. They're anticipating that really pretty much right when asphalt plants are able to open up, shortly thereafter, we should be in town. Should be one of the first projects on the early summer, late spring type time frame. So, should be wrapping that one up. The baseball field relocation, we have that, plan pretty well pulled together for the floodway, memorandum for the state approval. We're planning to get that submitted this week. North Main Street reconstruction. That project included in the packet is a preliminary set of plans for review. Been any review of those done yet, but if there's any questions, feel free to reach out. We are planning for the neighborhood meeting for January 29th. So 2 weeks from yesterday at 6 p.m. So notifications for that mailed out finally tomorrow. So you should be receiving those and post some stuff to some social media as well. Help spread the word. So any questions related to any of the apps? And then the last item I have is related to drainage in the southwest part of town. So this past spring, Dakota Street, just north of 67th there, kind of blew up due to poor drainage in that area and other maybe other issues that have been lingering out there with that area. Also, the city has had a discussion with the contractor to clean out that ditch between Main Street and Dakota Street as well, which is kind of more of a temporary fix to help maybe the issues there. But I guess talking with Dan a bit, he was kind of wondering about potentially doing some evaluation of options to kind of address the drainage of that area. The big contributor to it is that west side of the culvert that comes across from Castle site, through that property. So it's kind of a few things, you know, that are kind of out there that kind of relate to this. The first being the future park improvements along in that area of the city park, as well as potential development of that subdivision there, Springfield subdivision, and of course the 67th Street roadway improvements. If and when that project happens, addressing drainage along there should either be completed before ahead of that project or at the same time. But it's kind of an idea to evaluate different options. It's not easy. There's not necessarily a clear answer to what the best option is to address this area. So kind of what we would look at is do a drainage study to evaluate different options to get conveyance through that area. What we'll do is we'll pull together a proposal for the next meeting. To, for the presentation. That would be one. Give a high level discussion. With that, that is all I have.
I don't believe so, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, community center update.
David Albert, Tioga Community Center. I don't have a whole lot tonight. So we've had 2 meetings since the design option was chosen by the commissioners. The first meeting was a lot of just conversation and debate. Today's meeting was kind of the same. We only had one motion made, and that was to go with actual turf material for the turf walking track. So that was the only motion. We did talk about how many windows we want, what kind of concrete for like the bathrooms and the hallways. So similar to what we have now is kind of the idea that we're going with for those items. The biggest thing though, we have had several people resign since the meeting or the design was made or the design was chosen. So we had 5 people meet the 3 missed meeting mark. 3 of those people decided that they would like to resign just because they have very busy schedules and they can't commit to making the future meetings. One of those 5 wanted to be considered to be left on. I guess I should say who left. Scott Hayes put in his resignation, Jeremy Walling, Nathan Germanson, and Kelsey Hansen. Ben Johnson would like to be considered to be kept on. He wants to see how his schedule with work looks after February 1st. February 1st is our next committee. So he wants to see if he can attend even virtually for future meetings, as we're only going to be meeting once a month with the entire committee from now on. And then Pat Alberts was the other one who missed 3 meetings, and I have yet to hear back from him. I did give everybody that has missed the max amount the option to let me know if they want to be considered to be left on. And those 3, Kelsey, Scott, and Jeremy, resigned. And then Nathan, he hadn't missed 3 yet, but he just decided to resign on his own, just mostly busy schedules. So that's where we're at for that. That brings our quorum down to 10 people, assuming Pat and Ben continue on, which means that our quorum is a minimum of 6.
So the total meeting number,
For attendees is 10.
including Ben and
Pat, yep. That's really all that I have for that. I don't know if you guys need to make a motion on the turf flooring. Or not turf, I'm sorry, walking track material. Yep.
Is there a motion for the changes in the board?
And move to accept the changes.
Second. All right, with a motion and a second to change to accept the changes as described by Haley. As much as I'm concerned, the board will vote.
Yes,
Yeah.
Some votes.
still being committee.
Okay, out of curiosity, does that necessarily, okay. You're gonna have more changes come to us as we move forward, right?
We are. I contemplated even bringing that one up yet because that also depends on if we do wood flooring in the gym or not. Because it's raised. So if we do similar flooring that we have in our existing great room, it wouldn't really make sense to do the track flooring just because there would be a lip. So we can table that one for now if you prefer.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of changes.
Right, and I would like to see. The thing I don't wanna do is have one approval item brought to us. So we're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over. not the same thing, but similar stuff.
Totally get it.
We can just, hey, these are what we want as a committee, can we do this with, is
Okay, easy enough.
that fair?
With your approval of the changes to the committee, does that mean you accept the request for Ben to stay on and Pat if he wishes?
I think you guys were banking on the 10, right,
Right.
with the 6
Okay.
as your quorum, and so that would be, we're accepting, actually, I guess we'll make sure that that was your motion, and you're accepting the resignations of Scott, Jeremy, Kelsey, and Nathan.
All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
We don't need to make that last portion of the motion at all. Okay. Okay. All right, we're going to new business. EAPC contract.
So, we have a contract already, but the contract was signed years ago, and they just wanted it updated. It's the same thing, the same contract is that exactly the same. There was no changes, except for they would like a current date, not one that's 3 years later.
It's an architect's agreement. Many stages ago, and I have reviewed it, it's consistent with the prior contract approved by the commission.
Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll move to approve the new contract.
Second. All right, with the motion and a second to approve the contract, and questions, comments, from the board, will we vote?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so moved. All right. Quote from Maine Electric for generator hookup.
There is, an estimate from Maine Electric, so we can hook up generators to the city shops in the amount of $39,740. This will also help when we renew, the bid for, fuel station.
Yeah, Jeff's been working on this for a long time, to find someone to do it. Basically, what it comes down to is, we can't just hook up a gen to the shop without having a cutout switch. So, it has to be a back. That's why this is expensive.
Right.
It takes a little bit to do it, so.
And it says the estimate includes, at least from their vantage point from Maine Electric, that was all materials, labor, equipment, and permitting.
Right.
So that was the PP project.
And they've been in kind of a bind before, just trying to get the doors open and stuff, so. I guess I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second. With a motion and a second to approve. The quote, no questions, comments, from the board, will we vote?
That's $39,074. Yes.
Yes. All right, so moved. All right, next will be the Tioga fund application. And this is a Tioga fund application request from the Tioga Area Economic Development Corporation. Requesting money to fund their director position. This is a reapplication. So with that being said, real quick, I know, there's been, well, I've had conversations with Wendy regarding this. One of the things that we had talked about, if you want to come up, Wendy, in case you want to correct anything I say. One of the things that, she had talked about is they have a person that, they have interested in this position. Hopefully she's still interested, right? Or did something else?
Yeah, I just have to be fully transparent. I haven't confirmed. I know that she had a deadline of January
Right,
eighth
we talked
to,
about that.
to consider accepting another position. I've not confirmed whether she did that or not, so just want to be fully transparent that I don't know if that option is still available, but we're certainly gonna look for it.
Right. And one of the things in the correspondence between Wendy and I, and this is what her and I have been talking about for a while now, is working together and, trying to build the gap between the two entities. So I know that this was denied, at a previous one. It's gonna be up to the board. As I said at the last commission meeting, that I think that this is a good opportunity, that there are some stipulations that I had in place, that I reiterated to Wendy in our conversations as well. Because of the vast communities that we serve, I would like to see some buy-in from those communities. I know that we can't see that buy-in today because you guys held a special meeting to get this forward so we can try to meet that deadline. So I still think this is a great idea. I would personally, if we're gonna go work together on this and, like you say here, communication and transparency, I would like to, since we don't have that buy-in from those other communities at this point, would you guys be open to, allowing a member of this board, probably me, more than likely, sit on the hiring board for whoever we decide to, whoever is gonna be hired for this position for the interview board, and, be a voting member of that. And then, we just work together and move forward. That's kind of what my goal is,
Sure.
because that's what I've been trying to do the entire time. Is that, you think that's something agreeable for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the whole board, obviously. You know, we obviously are trying to be transparent. I had said before, any resumes that we get in, we're happy to share
Right.
with you so that, you know, you can review them and any questions that, you know, you have. You know, happy to answer those. I don't know that, you know, that I see an issue with that. I think we had a liaison from the city, before, and so I think that that'd be a good idea
Right.
to,
Well, can we be more specific there, Wendy? I guess I want to make, because it's always been in the interest of transparency and forward moving things. I think when people mutually understand fairly clearly what they're talking about, I think that lends to a better relationship. Gray areas aren't always conducive to situations that haven't always been clear. I mean, that's just a rule of life. So, and in the interest of transparency, I've heard from a number of commission members, and so one of the things that they considered in wanting to approve the application to move forward with that was some, I guess, conditions or considerations maybe. So I guess that's a question, and partially because of the publicly funded position. If the funding were conditioned on the idea that a member or designee of the council, or not council, commission would participate in the hiring process, I mean, probably if that was a condition, the EDC would accept that.
that they participate in, just in the hiring process.
The hiring and selection, like as a scoring member,
Mhm.
we score numerically applications within the city, which
Mhm.
tries to create a fair mathematical result, right? If 20 people come in and 3 are the best to have the position, if somebody scores a 68, somebody scores a 78, somebody scores an 85 on identical conditions, then you traditionally hire the person with the highest score.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what I think they were thinking.
Mhm.
Would that be doable?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know that I see an issue with that.
We have to check the board to see if she vote. Definitely be there
Yeah.
and participate, but.
Well, would it make it easier to allow them to vote if we condition the funds on that? That's what I'm asking. If there are bylaws that create problems for you guys. We don't want to reach too far into the pot and start modifying your bylaws, but if they're public funds and, you know, everybody knows this story, I don't want to relitigate the past, but part of the reason Dennis was excused and the position was terminated was because there was an outcry that public funds weren't being properly accounted for, and it happened for years, and there was a 1-year investigation, and that led to some conclusions, and so probably it would prevent any allegations in the future that the funds weren't being accounted for. You see what I'm saying? If there's a member of the commission participating in that process, presumably that's an accountability feature, so it dodges the issue well in advance.
Yeah, I guess I don't, again, like, I'm not opposed to the city knowing who we're interviewing or who we're looking for. I don't know that that would suffice if you're thinking that those funds that are allotted for this position are not spent on this position. I think that that would be probably rectified by, you know, I mean, just sharing that we've paid that out to that position for the salary. I mean, that would probably satisfy that. And again, you know, I'm not opposed to the city knowing who we're looking for. Like, we've committed to having someone that's dedicated to the community of Tioga, in this position. So, if that is the situation that we're trying to rectify, that we want to make sure that these funds are going towards that salary position, I'm happy to provide documentation that that's been spent in that way. Absolutely.
And you mentioned the liaison, so I'll just ask now because I know that that was a point of controversy back in Lindahl's era, but there were, I guess there was a misunderstanding or miscommunication or a misconnection regarding the role of the EDC's director to communicate directly with the commission. And one of the complaints from Mr. Lindahl was that he didn't monthly come to update the commission. So I don't know that, you know, the word liaison was tossed around. Again, I just want to avoid conclusion. Would the EDC director be directed to come give the commission a monthly update on what's going on, or what's the view of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely open to communicating. I don't know that maybe we have to do that monthly, but even quarterly. I mean, we do hold bi-monthly public meetings, and I know that the city, you know, I think that Veronica and Des and even Abby intend to start attending those meetings with us again. And so I think that there can be some information shared there, but I think even Chelsea, I don't know that she reported monthly, but definitely did quarterly at least. And so I think we're happy to do that. Either the director or a commissioner can just kind of update on things that we're working, or I mean, a director, a board member.
I kind of knew what you meant.
See what I'm
but
saying there?
At the same time, I was like, okay, hold on,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess the other question that I had, and that might be more of a board question than an EDC question, is that the city currently employs a part-time employee in the capacity as an EDC director. Fully funding a second position would leave the city in a position to be hiring 1.5 economic development directors.
That's not, I guess that's not my understanding. These funds would come from the Tioga fund. So they're not, it's not a paid city position. It's funded out of the economic development portion of the Tioga fund.
Well, it's coming from the Tioga fund, but it's municipally funded. Those are tax dollars that come to the city. I understand what you're saying. You're drawing a nuance, but I mean, there's public tax dollars.
Mhm.
And I guess I just wanted to bounce off the board. Well, number one, if I were the person occupying the part-time position and I was relying on that paycheck, I guess I would be interested to know whether my position would be here after they hired a full-time person to do my part-time job. And I guess if I were a taxpayer, I would want to know if 1.5 positions was a good idea. And maybe it is. I just don't, it's hard to know.
I guess I don't see this position replacing the city position. I'm hoping that these positions will work together on projects and communicate with each other. And learn together. And so I guess I didn't view this as trying to take over the city position or vice versa.
Right, and that was one of the things that Wendy and I did have in a phone conversation, was the fact that, this position wouldn't take away hours, just work hand in hand.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, it should be good to work together with PDC. We sort of want these positions to be in this competition with each other.
No, we don't.
We gotta work together on it.
Mhm.
That might be easier said than done. I hope they can.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that that'll be, encouraged from all sides, and so I guess I didn't see that as a competition scenario, for sure.
All right,
I believe other things that some of the commissioners wanted was a bank statement and a monthly. So you guys did in 20,000 a month. That is something that I want. Public. So that was one of the things that I wanted.
They want to see a bank statement, or they want to see a. Again, I mean, that's something I'll have to run by my board, we don't have anything to hide. I think one thing I would ask is that, we are trying to work together, and there has to be some level of, communication and trust established, and, happy to provide you with financials, sporadically if you want to request those, but also I'd ask to be treated just like any other organization or entity or business that's applying to the Tioga Fund with the same recommendations. And I can understand that there were, some different feelings with the previous director, but please know that, we're moving forward from that in a really positive way. And so,
Absolutely. But I know that that's, something that the commission has for. for that.
yeah, I mean, you certainly can put an open records request too, if
Well,
at any time.
I want to be clear that that's actually been done and they've been denied, because I think that's, and I don't mean to argue with you, but I know that to be the case, because there were that's what we're trying to avoid, I think, Wendy, is the argument over whether or not the EDC has to subject itself to the provisions of Title 4404, which is the open records law. Thus far, they've taken the position that they don't, and that's why I think the commission wondered, because we're aware of that history, whether as a matter of condition to receive the funding, the condition would be that you produce records at the behest of the commission involving any use or payment.
Yeah, and I've said already, if that's the question that we need to do for this year, I'm happy to produce proof of payment that those funds went towards this position. Absolutely. I'm not aware of any refusal of open records that had to be before my time. If that's something that happened, I know that we worked several hours producing open records requests. So I guess I can't comment to that, but.
So do you think it would be helpful if these are things that, and I guess this is a practical consideration, I don't like to be put on the spot, I'm sure you don't like to be put on the spot, nobody likes to be put on the spot. If these are considerations that the board has in the interest of communication, do you think if we compiled a list of those and sent those to the EDC so that they could review them and return a comment on whether those conditions would be sufficient, might that be a step? I mean, maybe the appropriate course is to table this until you guys have an opportunity to meet to consider the collective concerns and conditions of the commission.
I mean, if that's the option that we have, like we've waited a long time here for this, and we're kind of losing time. Again, I'm happy to try to work with you. I want to work with you. Again, we just truly just want to be treated fairly too.
my personal opinion is that she sat here, you guys can disagree with me. She sat here and she's in an open meeting that's recorded, saying she wants to work with us. She'll do everything that we've asked her to and be able to provide whatever documentation. I think we're just running in circles.
Well, I think it's just a conditional approval. That's what we do with planning and zoning, for example. If you're given a conditional use permit, because we don't allow you to put a trailer on a particular piece of property, we say, here are the 5 conditions that go with that. If you violate the condition, it retracts the funding. That's how a conditional approval works. So, you know, it's like a friendship with a safety net. That's how conditions operate. We all get along as long as we all play by the rules. That's how business and personal relationships work. And that's how a conditional grant with terms works.
And I don't think you're saying they're not gonna.
No, I mean, I am happy to share any proof that those funds are being used for this position, that they're not being used for anything else, absolutely. And, you know, like I said, we're not trying to hide anything regarding this position. We'll share the resumes. And, you know, if you want to vote again, we have to look at our bylaws and I have to ask the board as far as like, you know, you sitting on that hiring committee or interviewing them. You know, I guess I don't know what you're asking. Are you asking that like a city person be able to have veto power if they don't like one of the applicants? I'm not sure where, you know, where you're going, or I guess the question wasn't really asked by a commissioner, it was asked by you, so I'm not.
No, that's fair. I mean, what I could do, that's again a transparency, or what the commission could do, is send to you their collective conditions, so you have an opportunity to review them as the board. The crummy part of being a lawyer is that you anticipate problems that might arise, especially when they've historically arisen. And so when another opportunity arises that might repeat those facts, you do your best to ensure that there are conditions and boundaries that avoid that. And so I don't blame you for not wanting to commit to those things without the board. It's just that if that's something that's collectively within the objective of the commission, then maybe, you know, we could like copy and paste those and send them to you guys and they could.
I guess that would be my question, like, are these your requests or are these the requests of the commission?
No, those are requests that individual commissioners have raised to me throughout this discussion, and I have placed them in a form that I think is polite and sufficiently explain that we don't have the gray area. I guess that's the whole thing. The maybe is where people run into problems. You're saying, well, we wouldn't have an issue with showing you resumes. A couple of commission members have said, yeah, but we want to participate in the interviews. That might, and in fairness, you're saying, well, I don't know if our bylaws permit that. And if they don't, then we would have to do some work to permit that.
Well, and I guess what I'm trying to establish too is like, what would that accomplish unless you're saying like the commissioner has veto power? You know, if we have a committee of four people, 4 from the EDC board and 1 commissioner, and, you know, 3 on the EDC board really like an applicant and the commissioner likes another applicant better, do they get to veto and say
Well,
we choose this one? I mean, I don't.
You know, I think they
No.
just wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
Because,
Sure.
because like we said, as a city, we do all of our stuff by score.
Mhm.
I'm sure you guys do.
So you're kind of just interested in the process.
Interested in the process
Okay.
and just making sure that
Mhm.
it's fair, because we don't.
Sure.
I mean, we try to hire the best employee we can hire, right?
Mhm.
And I know that you guys would do the exact same.
Yeah.
Because you don't
Yeah.
want somebody that's going to destroy everything that you've worked so hard for.
Yeah,
But just being a part of that and saying, oh yeah, no, it was very clear that this person scored the highest, and
sure.
that's what we're doing.
Sure.
Not, Wendy, I don't like you, you're not gonna get hired.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
I mean, then I would think, just like, kind of like Judy mentioned, you certainly could sit in on those interviews, absolutely, and how the process goes,
And
if
be a
that's.
scoring member, that would be That's what they're asking. That's what I was asked. Can you draft language that would indicate that we could actually participate, not veto?
Just so you would hear our voice.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think that's all that,
Well, and then, so then I think like can that go both ways? Like, could a member of the EDC board sit when you're hiring for your EDC person? Like, could it go both ways?
my opinion, and I'm the head of the board right now, I don't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
If there was
Because,
a policy, that would be permissible with hiring policy,
Sure.
but they're in writing. And so if somebody moved to have the EDC participate, we would certainly consider that. And if it was legal, we would
right,
adopt it.
because it is a two-way street,
Yeah,
and it's only fair that those that are gonna be affected get to participate. And I think that's all that we're asking
Yeah.
for, is that.
and I think it makes sense if those positions are gonna work together and, discuss things together. I think, you know.
All right,
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for Wendy. I guess I don't like it when people don't send me proposals that I haven't been able to review with my colleagues that would be binding. And so I wonder if you don't want a list of those things so that you can speak with them at the board instead of the commission just putting a stamp on that says conditionally we approve this, and you go back to the board and you say conditionally they approve this, and the board says, well, there are 6 conditions on here that violate our bylaw. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems to me that those listed things is something your board would want to examine and be able to say, we've looked at these, they're in writing, thanks for sending them. Here's what we think is acceptable, here's what we don't think is acceptable, here's why.
and
Yeah.
now I know that we're on that time frame. We are, hopefully, still.
Yeah.
And we can, if the board agrees, you see how that goes. But we can make it contingent on your guys' approval. So if we send that stuff to you guys and you guys look it over and you're like, yeah, Kevin, we're okay with this, or we want to scratch this, we want to modify it this way, we can try to figure all that out. But then once we come to that agreement, we can have this all finished. And then,
And we don't have to wait for
We don't have
another
to wait for
meeting, or
another
we don't
meeting.
have to go back to the Tioga
Right.
again, or,
correct.
okay. I mean, I just want to clarify, because it's the
I would
That's fine.
table it.
second
I
time.
would take, because you have to have the conditions, you can't supplement the EDC judgment for the commission board's judgment. That's the problem. You're giving money, so whatever conditions or not you're attaching, you have to attach to that money. And
Yeah, I think the conditions from the Tioga Fund were just that, if we post this position and we don't hire a position until June, or we don't find that person, then those monies are prorated, and that difference then would go back. So, they didn't even, wouldn't even probably issue that payment until we've hired someone, for that term. And so, there really weren't a lot of conditions. I mean, I don't see issues with obviously sharing with you that the funds that were allotted for this position are going towards the position, sharing with you the applicants that we've received that we're considering, and then, allowing you to sit in on those interviews and participate. So, I mean, I would like to obviously visit with the board and verify that there's no issues with the bylaws, and then, get back to you and say, yeah, I mean, we're okay with that, but I do hesitate with like this dragging.
Right, I don't wanna,
Any longer, like
when's the next meeting? February 2nd?
theirs or ours.
Oh. When's your next meeting, Wendy?
yeah, our next board meeting typically won't be until prior to our February public meeting, but I'm sure that the board would be happy to meet prior to that.
When is your
To
February meeting?
discuss. It'd be the third Thursday. I think it's the 18th.
So it looks like our.
Next commission meeting is, yep. So if you guys, if we shot you those lists of what the commission believes to be the conditions. It would be the commission conditioning you. We're not, your application was your conditions. That's what you applied for. So we know what your conditions are. This is the commission telling you what their proposed conditions are. You guys could probably get a meeting together before the 5th. And then reconvene on the 5th. That way everybody has everything in hand and I think it's unfair to your board not to be able to see those things and understand them. And I think it's unfair to this board and the public to have gray areas for things that have historically been challenging.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I guess, if we have to wait for another commission meeting, we can do that. I prefer not. I think we've talked about, the conditions, and if you just give me a little time to get the board together to review those and then confirm that, they're okay with that. The other thing I want to say is like, this is an annual thing for us, so it obviously will be coming up in a year again, and then you have the opportunity to say, hey, that didn't work out the way we discussed it working out. So it's not like it's a permanent scenario.
I think what they want, Wendy, is not to have the scenario when we break apart because they said no, and then the city, LPC, have a torn relationship with them. So that's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to be good stewards and at the same time prevent any discord out there with EDC in the future. So they want to do their due diligence now to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm sure you can understand.
Okay, so let me ask a scenario. I'm sure it can happen, but I need to ask. Let's say Wendy gets with her board tomorrow. Their board says absolutely no problem whatsoever. We're good. We can call a special for this one specific thing.
Sure, we could email those to Wendy, and if she confirmed on behalf of the board tomorrow that they were willing to accept all of the conditions, and we can read them aloud to you. I mean, they took the time at the behest of the commission to compile that list.
Are there conditions other than what we've discussed here?
I think they're all interrelated, but the problem is when you're talking apples and oranges and somebody talks bananas, then you're not talking apples and oranges.
So here's my thing. I don't want to prolong the meeting super long tonight. We pretty much covered most of, all of them, because they're all intertwined.
Generally, yeah, I think
Right.
so. We just wrote them out so that they were very clear.
Right.
We could email those.
So we can email those, okay? And then, this week. Oh, I have a homicide trial all next week, but we can make it work. We'll figure it out. Okay.
Is that
so-
enough time for you guys, Wendy? If we plan on having a special meeting and noticing it next week, is that sufficient time for you to collect your board and get us a
Yeah, I think so.
written response?
Mhm.
Okay. I will gather all of this. I'll email it to you.
Okay,
And so then that way we can try to move forward as fast as possible, okay?
that sounds great.
You guys are gonna table for now so
So-
the application isn't lost.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a motion to table it for now?
I'll make the motion. Second.
No questions, comments, concerns, we'll move the vote for the tabling.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Visitor promotion application. All right, this is, Tioga Airport Authority. Signage for the airport, they're requesting $4,877.85.
I'll move to approve. Second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, move the vote.
Yes.
Yes. All right, vote. End of year for 2023. Oh,
Is the end of year balances for the city of Tioga. You will see, on the third page, it's with transfers. It's the money that I have to transfer out of certain funds to balance our books. So I'm looking for a motion. This is what we present to the auditors so that they can have a start. So I'm looking for, to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, with the motion and a second, the questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. How about the resolution 2024-01 ordinance book? Correct.
I can read it quickly. It's resolution 2024-01 dated January 16, 2024. Be it resolved by the City Commission of Tioga, Williams County, North Dakota, on the 16th day of January 2024. The City Commission for the City of Tioga hereby adopts, ratifies, updates, corrects, modernizes, and clarifies the City of Tioga ordinances such that said ordinances shall hereafter be referred to as the updated ordinances of the City of Tioga, all of which are attached hereto and filed for record of the 16th day of January 2024. Whereas the city periodically reviews its existing ordinances, and in 2023, the city became aware of various typographical errors within said ordinances. Whereas the city during such periodic review became further aware of the use of fonts, font sizes, formatting, alignment, and other stylistic issues that made the said ordinances difficult to maintain and update in an electronic format. Whereas the city desires to ensure that all of its ordinances may be readily available, clear, organized, and without errors for use by the governing body and its citizens. Whereas the ordinances therefore have been updated in accordance with that prerogative and goal. Now therefore said updated ordinances for the City of Tioga are in all things approved and adopted and shall be maintained on file and available for review and distribution at the office of the auditor.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, with the motion and a second, the questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. So change in the winter hours for the landfill.
We have made a change, to open or close the landfill to winter hours only. However, our street superintendent asked that we open it at least one Saturday a month for winter. And he'd like it to be every second Saturday of the month.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
For every second Saturday.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Next is gonna be the heater for the recycling center.
Modification, right?
And we got an estimate from Kayla Melberg to install, 150,000 BTU renser. And his estimated with all the labor and all the venting and pipe is 5,500.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Next is going to be another, modification. It's going to be the department vehicle.
We received, two estimates. One is from Red Rock Ford for, a police vehicle, which most of it was covered by warranty, except for $1,500 and $38.51. And then, one from Jensen Automotive for our, water department vehicle, in the amount of $2,501.
I'll move to approve. Second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will move the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next will be the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, the planning and zoning application, special liquor license application, pledge holding of 12/15/2023 and 12/18/2023, payroll for December 22, 2023, January 5th, 2024, bills for December 2023, financials for December 2023.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves, and that looks like the end of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
You guys really want to stay here? All right, with a motion and a second to adjourn, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves, the meeting is adjourned at 8:05. Thank you.